Des from Aro-Tarot here, and today I thought that I would refilm my one video, because I forgot that I was going to refilm it, and yeah. I thought it would be interesting to just talk about the topic of, like, soulmates, and basically kind of like my view on it, since there are definitely some opinions on the topic, and I thought it would be kind of interesting considering, you know, I'm literally aromantic, and soulmates are generally seen in a romantic sense. So to help me out while doing this, I currently have my app that I've been using to help me keep on topic of just doing stuff in general. Come on, let me open the thingy McThinger so I can check mark it. Doesn't want to let me. One sec, I think I just have to refresh it. And I just had to refresh it. Okay, so I have my stances here, just not really stances, just the topics, and each time that I do well and don't get off track, I will reward myself. Because teaching good habits, because I very much know that I cannot stay on track to save my life. Even just now, I'm getting annoyed with my bangs. I also thought one thing that would be interesting to do from now on in videos is, if I'm not showing off a deck or have decks in hand, I'm going to try to shuffle a deck, deal with, stop it, hair, to just deal with fidgeting and try to focus a bit more, you know, fidgeting in the hands, so I could just say what deck it is. So like right now I'm shuffling the Aro-Tarot. And yeah, I might as well go ahead and start now. I keep looking over here because I have the camera angled. But yeah, anyway, so the first part is basically the traditional stance of how people see soulmates. And generally when one thinks of soulmates, one thinks about, you know, literally the part mate in it. So one would think about, generally in a romantic sense, that your soulmate is almost like the other side of your soul, you know, that kind of thing. Just the person that you're supposed to be with, generally seen in a romantic kind of setting, and just feeling wise. And this is problematic. I already know that there are people that very much do not like the idea of soulmates in this way. I have definitely seen them on my dash, because the whole idea, well, first off, that just, like, literally, like, I'm aromantic, and it's like, romance? Like, that literally, like, what does that mean, that we don't have one? You know? Which would seem kind of, like, weird. And then there's just the, you know, the fact that, you know, like, relationships that are, like, polyamorous and such. Does that mean maybe one person in their relationship is their soulmate, but the others aren't? It almost feels like, you know, it's like, oh, well, then the one person should mean more than to you if they're your soulmate. See, it doesn't work with the whole, basically the way that, I can never remember, I don't know how to pronounce it. One of these days I need to, like, just figure out how to pronounce the word, but it's amatonormativity? I'm already bad at pronouncing things anyway. But that whole thing of literally this whole mono-romantic, everyone wants it, it's a goal relationship. And that's definitely not good. Very not good. It's problematic. Really hurt people. And the traditional sense of when people think of soulmates, deal with that. So, yeah, what's my stance on the more traditional? It's very problematic and not good, and I very much do not believe in that kind of area of it. And if you do, okay, you can believe in whatever you want. Like, no judging. Maybe a little judge, no. But yeah, it's very much not good, really. No, stop. I'm clicking. So that was part of it. So, oh, I literally just mentioned that topic too. Didn't even realize that I went right into that. So yeah, it just doesn't really work. So generally when I think of soulmates, I don't really, it's interesting, like, over the course of, you know, me not knowing that I was Aro, and then thinking, well, obviously it would make sense if people had multiple soulmates at least, you know, and then, you know, figuring out that I was Aro, then it's like, well, it would be kind of weird if it was only in a romantic sense. You know, and just the whole mate sense. If anything, my idea, my take on the whole kind of topic is more so not exactly soulmates, although when talking about it in a conversation, I would associate it with the topic of soulmates. You know, like I am now. It's just that it's not really mates. I guess, if anything, it would be more like a soul connection. And I see things as more so, there are certain people, because, you know, I've just kind of have believed in reincarnation since, like, middle school. That was one belief from when I tried Wicca out that actually did stick. And so, yeah, so I see it more so as these people throughout your lives that you're meant to meet, and they're meant to have an impact on your life. Hopefully in the positive. I would think so, more so in the positive. But it's not necessarily that they are mates. Maybe not even necessarily even to be friends in all lifetimes, really. Just more so people that are important. And so they can appear with any kind of people, really. They could end up being your friends, your lovers, your future husband or wife or something. Your cousin that helps you out with all the times that you have trouble in your life. Like, it's just these people that are very important that as you're reborn, they're also reborn. And you're just essentially drawn to each other. And not necessarily, if anything, like, it could be romantic, it could be sexual, it could be platonic, it could be any of that. It's just people that you're meant to be drawn to that are there to change your life. Which, that probably has a name on its own, but I'm not aware of it. Just because the only time I've heard of such kind of way of speaking of souls being drawn to each other is, again, with the whole soulmates. Like my roommate that I had when I was on campus, their idea with soulmates were essentially two people that are drawn together because you're meant, like, you're essentially part of the same energy, kind of. I feel like they had compared it something to stars, like everyone was a star and it's like the other part of your star or something. I can't remember. Or it was something like how matter attracts each other. That's essentially how soulmates work. It's just the whole idea of there only being one just doesn't really, I don't know, it's just everyone has such importance on soulmates that if there was just one, I feel like it really cuts out on, obviously, certain people that I already talked about. Like, literally, like, if I was to be in a relationship with two people, I wouldn't think as one being my soulmate and the other one isn't. I would have them and love them both equally. You know, it just, because I'm completely open for that. I've had feelings for two people at the same time and would have been fine in such a relationship. Because literally there's nothing wrong with such a relationship. Oh, literally just having to, like, explain that to, like, my nana or something. It's like, like, no, like, it's not how it works. You know, but, yeah, so it doesn't really make sense. And then, of course, the whole it having to be romantic, that really doesn't make sense because there are literally people in the world that don't experience romantic attraction. So what, like, are we just not gonna be able to meet our soulmate in this lifetime? Like, seems kind of harsh. Like, can't meet your soulmate in this lifetime. Like, they're just on the other side of the world. You're never gonna meet them. So, yeah, you're just Aro now. So, and it's like, wow, thanks. Nice. And then also, I know one of the other things that people don't like about the idea of soulmates is the whole feeling like, because it deals with what I talked about with amatonormativity, or however you pronounce that word. If I remember correctly, I'll try to remember to write the word out in the description, because it's hard for, I'm very bad at pronouncing words. Like, yeah. Would have been a lot easier if it was, I don't know. But, yeah, so just this whole idea of, and how society has the whole, like, finding, you know, your perfect match, the perfect one. Essentially, like, you have to find your soulmate. Like, the person that you're with has to be your soulmate, even though you could literally find love with probably people that aren't your soulmate. It's just not good. Yeah, I know one thing that is interesting is I think, because again, like, this kind of deals with the part of literally my channel name, with the whole Aro bit. But also, just to bring in the tarot bit, I think one thing that is very interesting about readings in tarot is being able to read about soulmates. I actually have made my own soulmate reading, which I did with my mom, which literally was the was the reading that I have been the most proud of that I've ever done. Because my mom once went to, I don't think it was the one she usually goes to, I think it was someone else. It was, I think maybe a year after I was born, 2 years, around then. So of course, like, literally like 20 years ago, she had been told what her soulmate was like. And so I then did a reading 20 years afterwards. She pulled out her old papers of where she took notes of everything that the psychic said and was like, okay, I've got them right here. I'm going to have, you know, you're going to do this reading for me, and we'll see how much they're the same. And it was actually, I went more in depth with mine of, like, how you'll meet, possibly, how you'll be together dynamically, but the first card was their personality, and the card that came up was the Queen of Swords, so I start describing the different attributes of the Queen of Swords, and Mom's like, and starts repeating everything that I was saying, and I'm like, dang. So one could say, well, if soulmates, like, didn't exist, then how could you do something like that, like a reading like that? And it's, again, like, I think that such a reading, and I feel like it's so hard, and I probably wouldn't do soulmate stuff for everyone just because of my belief in obviously having multiple soulmates that just mean something and not necessarily, like, romantic. It just makes it a lot harder for such a reading, because you're basically reading for one soulmate, because who's to know how many soulmates one person has? They might have one, they might have two. Who knows? Maybe, like, a new soul comes in and they get, like, another soulmate. I don't know, you know? But yeah, it makes it very hard. So if anything, it would be for one soulmate. And I think that's all kind of interesting. I know I went a little bit off topic, but at the same time, I felt like that was fine, and I've pretty much stayed on topic, and I'm just, you know, I'm just gonna experience. I know that was pretty much all I had written down, actually, for topic-wise. Haha, experience. I'm almost to the next level. But yeah, I think it's all very interesting. And just, yeah, that's kind of just my stance on it. And just my stance on the more traditional idea of it. I wouldn't exactly know what to call what mine is. It's just generally when people are talking about soulmates, such ideas can come up. So obviously, you know, I'm just explaining all mine, you know, since that's how conversation works. But yeah, I just thought this would be kind of like a neat little video to do. And that's pretty much it. So this video is not like a 40-minute long video like I have a habit of doing. And honestly, I feel very much more focused on what I'm talking about. I assume the shuffling is very much helping. Also, probably the caffeine that I've been drinking, which helps me focus. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Anyone that literally wants to have a discussion, full up for it. Like, no judging. My whole thing is just don't be an asshole. That's always how it is. Just don't be an asshole. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's just my ideas and stuff. So yeah. Anyway, I'm Des from Aro-Tarot, and I'm logging up. So